Welcome to the Daily AI and Emerging Technology Market Intelligence Briefing. Here are today's key developments and the market implications, opportunities, and risks you need to know. AMD's latest quarter turns the AI infrastructure thesis into reported commercial performance. How dramatically is compute demand reshaping this major semiconductor company's revenue mix?
Data center revenue more than doubled year over year, rising 107% from $3.2 billion to $6.7 billion. It represented 58% of AMD's record $11.5 billion total revenue, The Verge reports.
That makes it today's most consequential development for executive decision-makers. But how much confidence should they place in Lisa Su's longer-range outlook?
AMD CEO Lisa Su expects data center revenue to more than double year over year in 2027. That's management guidance, however, rather than a realized result.
With commercial adoption established, the operating question shifts from whether to use AI toward where additional complexity actually earns a return. What does the controlled evidence show?
Across 5 model backbones in competitive programming, chess and mathematics, self-refine, best of N, and debate achieved maximum average improvements of 4.6 percentage points over optimized chain of thought and 4.5 points over task-only inference.
Those improvements sound useful, but what did they cost? And did harder tasks make orchestration more effective?
The methods required roughly 2 to 4 times the mean tokens of task-only inference. The archive study also found that orchestration didn't become more effective as human-rated task difficulty increased.
That complicates the economics. Does accumulated experience offer agents a more dependable route to improvement?
Not reliably. PATH found that transfer doesn't guarantee retention and that later experiences can reshape earlier gains. It's selective experience use harness reduced forgetting while improving forward transfer in most evaluated settings.
And how does that connect with AgentStream, which was previously reported here?
AgentStream found no universally dominant self-evolution method across models and streaming scenarios. Together, the papers support selective memory, continuous regression testing, and model-specific controls rather than unrestricted accumulation of agent history.
That brings governance into focus, especially cybersecurity. What has OpenAI disclosed about recent third-party evaluations?
OpenAI said it's explaining recent incidents involving third-party cybersecurity evaluations of its models and introducing additional safeguards. However, the supplied evidence doesn't detail either the incidents or the controls.
Separately, TechCrunch reported concerns about the open-weight GL-M5.2 model. What exactly was claimed and how strong is the evidence?
A single TechCrunch report says SaferAI found it close to leading proprietary systems on cyber and biological capabilities, while it refused none of the offensive cyber or dual-use biology tasks tested through its public API.
So that comparison needs careful qualification. What evidence is missing and what broader developments deserve attention now?
The underlying SaferAI report wasn't supplied, making those claims single source here. Watch whether infrastructure growth broadens from training capacity into durable inference demand, and whether enterprises evaluate agent memory, orchestration, and security as separate investments instead of one bundled agent strategy.
That separation begins with memory, where PATH changes how lifelong agents are evaluated. What makes its path-dependent approach different?
Rather than judging each task independently, its authors constructed controlled histories containing helpful or interfering experiences. They repeatedly probed agents and measured average performance, forward transfer, backward transfer, and forgetting, according to the archive.
How broad was that evaluation? And what determined whether an experience remained useful?
8 representative agents were tested on single-turn code generation and multi-turn tool use tasks. Usefulness depended jointly on how experience was represented and the task's interaction structure. Later learning could also alter gains acquired earlier.
That sounds complementary to AgentStream rather than repetitive. How do the two findings fit together?
AgentStream evaluated 5 self-evolving methods across 3 frontier foundation models in isolated, sequential, and interleaved task streams. Reliability varied by scenario, while benefits were gated by underlying model capability.
Did stronger models at least deliver steadily greater benefits, or did that relationship also break down?
Stronger models didn't produce monotonically greater benefits, and no method dominated every model and stream. PATH-Bench adds a sharper diagnosis of interference and forgetting, plus evidence that selectively admitting experience can improve robustness.
The orchestration research adds another practical constraint. How were those methods compared fairly?
Researchers applied the same GEPA optimization budget to every method, then compared 3 orchestration techniques against task-only and chain-of-thought baselines using identical difficulty-stratified items.
And what did that controlled comparison reveal about the trade-off between accuracy and consumption?
The maximum average accuracy advantage was 4.6 percentage points over optimized chain of thought, accompanied by a 2- to 4-fold token burden. Strong method-by-backbone interactions appeared across all 3 benchmarks.
So, procurement teams can't simply transfer a favorable result between models, can they?
No. They can't safely generalize an orchestration result from one model to another, because the archive evidence shows performance depends strongly on the specific method and backbone.
At the deployment edge, Liquid AI offers a different path. What is LFM 2.5 2.6b designed to do locally?
Liquid AI describes it as a 2.6 billion parameter model intended for local tool use and multi-step workflows, with a reported 128K context window and memory use below 2.5 gigabytes.
What performance does the company report across available hardware?
It reports 220 tokens per second on an Apple M5 Max and 113 tokens per second on an AMD Ryzen CPU, with selected evaluation performance competitive against models approximately 4 times larger.
Those figures could support local execution, but what qualification belongs beside them?
Their vendor-reported results on Hugging Face, not independent validation. Still, they frame an increasingly plausible alternative to cloud-only agent execution.
GitHub also introduced 2 operational changes. What control does Dependabot now provide over branch naming?
Dependabot branch names can use configurable prefixes, maximum lengths, separators, lettercase, and templates. That gives teams more flexibility to align automated branches with internal conventions.
And what's changing in GitHub code quality for coverage workflows?
It can launch an agent that opens a pull request containing a coverage workflow with least privilege permissions by default. The capability is in public preview for GitHub Enterprise Cloud and team users, not Enterprise Server.
Given those developments, where should validation efforts concentrate next?
Watch for independent replication of PATH-Bench, AgentStream, Orchestration, and Edge model results, especially on enterprise workflows where tasks, permissions, data sensitivity, and failure costs differ from academic benchmarks.
Those enterprise conditions matter because AMD's quarter shows capital moving toward data center compute while consumer-facing segments face pressure. How wide is the divergence?
Data center revenue reached $6.7 billion, while gaming revenue declined 31% year-over-year to $779 million amid higher graphics card prices, component shortages, and weaker console-related demand.
Was the entire consumer business shrinking, or did client revenue offset some of that weakness?
Client revenue increased 23%, contributing to 6% growth across the combined PC and gaming business, according to The Verge.
So AI infrastructure isn't lifting every semiconductor market equally. What does that divergence indicate?
It indicates capacity and executive attention are being reallocated toward higher growth data center demand, rather than AI infrastructure simply raising every semiconductor segment together.
For AI buyers, orchestration creates a related allocation question. When could a gain below 5 percentage points still justify added inference?
It may be worthwhile for high-value decisions, but consuming 2 to 4 times the tokens can materially alter unit economics at scale. Additional inference shouldn't be treated as automatically productive.
How should enterprises test that trade-off before production?
Because the study found strong method and backbone interactions, cost performance testing must use the actual model, prompt optimization effort, and workload entering production. Human-rated difficulty alone didn't identify where orchestration paid off.
Could local execution improve those economics by avoiding metered cloud inference?
Potentially. It could use hardware already owned, reduce data movement, and enable offline operation. Liquid AI positions LFM 2.5-2.6b for laptops and phones, including tool calling and multi-step work below 2.5 gigabytes of memory.
But what remains unproven before decision-makers can treat that as cloud displacement?
The supplied evidence contains vendor benchmarks, not total cost comparisons, independent safety testing, or production reliability data. The announcement is a deployment option requiring validation, not proof of cloud displacement.
Developer tool spending is becoming more governable too. What changed in GitHub's Copilot billing approach?
GitHub retired its separate Copilot billing preview app and moved oversight into billing settings supporting AI credit grouping, filtering, and export, organization-level cost centers, usage pool allocation, budgets, user-level budgets, raw reports, and a billing API.
What does that consolidation enable beyond simpler administration?
It gives enterprises more granular control over usage-based AI expenditure and creates the data foundation needed to compare agent productivity with consumption.
Infrastructure investment is also broadening demand for agent building skills. What participation figures did Google and Kaggle report?
More than 353,000 people registered for a 5-day agent-focused course and submitted over 6,000 capstone projects. Since 2024, more than 2 million learners have joined their no-cost intensive courses.
Those are substantial numbers, but how should executives interpret them?
Their organizer reported participation figures showing significant developer interest and a rapidly expanding experimentation base, not direct evidence of operational or financial returns.
Then, what evidence should decision-makers demand as spending expands?
Watch for connections between AI consumption and revenue, cycle time reduction, error rates, or avoided labor, not registration totals, token volume, benchmark gains, or infrastructure revenue alone.
That demand for operating evidence becomes critical with persistent agents. What's the principal technical risk identified by the memory research?
Silent degradation from accumulated experience. PATH bench shows that history helpful to one task can interfere with another, and that forward transfer can coexist with later forgetting.
How does AgentStream deepen that concern when deployments move beyond isolated tests?
It shows performance changes when tasks shift into sequential or interleaved streams. Persistent agents therefore present a governance problem analogous to model change management.
Even if the underlying model stays unchanged, what components can alter later behavior?
Memory additions, reusable skills, and learned policies can all change later behavior, according to the combined PATH bench and AgentStream evidence.
What's the corresponding architectural opportunity for controlling that risk?
PATH bench's Selective Experience Use mechanism admits helpful accumulated items while filtering potential interference. It reduced forgetting and improved forward transfer in most tested settings.
Does that establish a universal solution or something narrower?
The evidence doesn't establish universal effectiveness. It supports separating immutable audit history from the smaller set of memories supplied to a particular task.
And what practical benefit comes from keeping those two stores distinct?
The distinction can improve testability while preserving records needed for compliance or investigation, according to the archive evidence.
Cybersecurity exposes a more immediate governance gap. Why shouldn't executives infer resolution from OpenAI's announcement?
Its brief statement acknowledges incidents involving outside cyber evaluations and promises strengthened testing safeguards, but the supplied excerpt doesn't identify what happened, who was affected, or how the new controls operate.
So the missing detail is itself material. What balance must independent evaluation preserve?
It requires controlled access without weakening containment, confidentiality, or responsible disclosure processes. OpenAI's announcement alone doesn't demonstrate how that balance will be maintained.
The open weight case creates a different control problem. What happens when hosted provider safeguards don't travel with downloaded weights?
Controls may not persist after weights are downloaded and modified. TechCrunch reports that SaferAI tested GLM 5.2 through ZAI's API and observed no refusals on offensive cyber or dual-use biology tasks.
How did that reported behavior compare with proprietary systems?
The report says some proprietary systems refused more consistently. But because it's secondary and the underlying evaluation is absent, The exact methodology and comparative validity remain unknown.
What action does that uncertainty justify?
It should trigger due diligence, not a definitive vendor conclusion about GLM 5.2 or the proprietary systems used for comparison.
Software assurance offers a lower friction opportunity. How does GitHub's coverage automation reduce setup barriers?
The AI-generated coverage workflow arrives as a reviewable pull request, runs builds and tests, generates a coverage report, and uploads it using least privilege permissions by default.
And where do Dependabot's naming controls help operationally?
They can eliminate incompatibilities with CI/CD naming and length policies. Neither feature guarantees adequate testing or supply chain security, but both reduce avoidable setup barriers.
What governance evidence should procurement, security, and audit teams request next?
Watch whether vendors expose memory lineage, interference tests, cyber evaluation protocols, and cost-adjusted reliability metrics and forms those teams can independently examine.
That evidence agenda starts with AMD execution and supply allocation. What should follow the reported quarter's strong data center momentum?
Management expects segment revenue to more than double again in 2027, but that remains prospective. Track subsequent reported revenue, customer concentration, margins, and capacity constraints.
What consumer-side signal could reveal the cost of an infrastructure-centered portfolio shift?
Track whether gaming demand continues to absorb that cost alongside the revenue, concentration, margin, and capacity indicators reported through The Verge.
Agent memory controls are next. What would show vendors are responding to the complementary PATH bench and AgentStream findings?
Track adoption of streaming evaluations, reporting of forgetting and backward transfer, and administrative controls that let users inspect, disable, or scope retrieved experience.
Why are those measures more revealing than isolated benchmark results?
Because isolated tests can miss failures caused by task sequence, interference, and changing task mixtures, precisely the conditions highlighted by PATH bench and AgentStream.
Inference economics remains another watch point. What decision rule follows from the controlled orchestration study?
Track model-specific cost curves and reserve orchestration for cases where an improved answer's expected value exceeds the added latency and inference expense.
That reflects the study's central caution, doesn't it?
Yes. The archive study found modest, workload-dependent gains with substantial token overhead rather than a universal accuracy premium.
On-device agents deserve scrutiny as well. Why is LFM 2.5.2.6b relevant for private or intermittently connected workflows?
Its reported speed, memory footprint, tool use training, and 128K context make it a relevant candidate, based on Liquid AI's Hugging Face announcement.
What must be validated before those comparisons become procurement-grade evidence?
Track independent benchmark replication, power consumption, hardware variability, tool call reliability, software licensing, and security behavior before accepting the vendor's performance comparisons.
Cyber evaluation governance now puts several issues on one executive agenda. Which ones?
OpenAI's disclosure and the reported SaferAI findings connect model access, evaluator controls, refusal behavior, and open weight distribution.
What developments would make that evidence more actionable?
Track fuller incident details, reproducible evaluation methods, and safeguards distinguishing research access from unrestricted operational capability across OpenAI and the TechCrunch reported case.
Finally, GitHub's developer governance changes reduce friction while expanding platform involvement. What should enterprises monitor?
Track public preview reliability, review quality, least privilege implementation, enterprise server availability, and whether billing exports support defensible return on investment analysis across code quality, Dependabot, and Copilot billing.
So, looking forward, what evidence should move an item off this watch list?
Prioritize independently verified changes in revenue, deployed reliability, incident controls, or unit economics. Announcements and laboratory results should remain watchlist items until corroborated in comparable operating environments.
That concludes today's daily AI and emerging technology market intelligence briefing. Thank you for listening. Join us next time as we continue tracking the innovations shaping technology, business, and global markets.